Thank you. Thank you. Thank you.
Chalo, thank you.
Room is clear, right? So with your permission, we'll start.
Yes, let's.
So hello and good afternoon. Welcome to this post-monetary policy press conference, third in this financial year 2025-26. I welcome Governor Shri Sanjay Malhotra, Deputy Governor Shri M. Rajeshwar Rao, Shri T. Ravi Shankar, Shri Swaminathan J. and Dr. Poonam Gupta. I also welcome Executive Directors Dr. Rajiv Ranjan and Dr. Ajit Joshi, as also our other colleagues from Reserve Bank. Before we begin, a few housekeeping announcements. I'll request media friends here present here to switch off their mobiles or keep them on silent. Further, please restrict to one question per person. It is very important so that everybody gets a chance to ask. While asking the question, you please switch on the mic in front of you so that others who are logged on to this or listening to this streaming, they are able to hear. And once you are done, please switch it off. And sir, there are 23 participants from media today. And with your permission, I'll start taking the names.
Yes, please.
So I'll request Ms. Lata to ask her question.
Thank you very much for the opportunity, Governor. You have given the growth forecast at 6.5, retained it, and given the forward forecast at 6.6. How much of the tariff impact have you factored in? Is there a lack of clarity on tariffs and therefore nothing is factored? And hence, if the tariffs stay or even increase, is there a likelihood that you will be lowering it? I'm asking you particularly because that phrase, very limited space for monetary easing, is absent in the entire speech. So if you lower, will that phrase reappear? Or will that phrase have no chance of appearing because the year ahead inflation is 4.9?
Yeah, so first of all, on growth, you are very well aware that we had already reduced our forecast, which was earlier 6.7% to 6.5%. So some of the global uncertainties have already been factored in the revised growth forecast. However, there is still a lot of uncertainty, as was also mentioned in my statement, and it's really very difficult to predict as to what the impact will be. Going forward, as we have mentioned, we will maintain a very, very close vigil on the incoming data and take a call. As of now, we do not have sufficient data to revise our GDP forecasts. As to your question on the on the absence of the word or the phrase very limited space, that was in the context when we moved from accommodative to neutral. We are continuing in neutral, and so that's why you don't find a mention of that in this statement.
Is it because it is 4.9%? That's why you're saying? Why is that phrase absent? Is it because of high inflation, or is it because we don't know enough about growth?
See, we will continue to monitor our macroeconomic conditions on a policy-to-policy basis and accordingly take a call. So it's all, very, very uncertain. We already did 100 basis point rate cut. The other thing is that monetary policy transmission is still happening. So we will continue. We'll continue to do whatever is required to facilitate good growth while, of course, maintaining price stability.
Thank you, sir. दाहिनी तरफ दूरदर्शन से श्यामा जी अपना प्रश्न पूछें.
Namaskar, sir. Sir, is RBI worried about the fact that these global changes, trade changes, will push up the inflation as the imports will get expensive?
See, till now, see, first thing is that in India, we are less dependent on the outside insofar as inflation is concerned. And the other thing is that if at all there is an impact, there is also an impact on the growth, on the demand, and that has a reverse impact. We mentioned this, we elaborated this in our monetary policy statement that we made, I think, a couple of months ago, where we highlighted this aspect that it moves in both directions. As of now, we don't see a major impact of this unless we have retaliatory tariffs and so on and so forth, which I really do not foresee. I request our DG if you would you like to add something?
Sure. In addition to what Sir said, let me also remind that our inflation basket, nearly half of it consists of food, which does not get impacted directly by global developments. A significant part consists of non-tradables, which again does not get impacted by global developments. So to that extent, of first order direct impact of these evolving uncertainties on India's inflation is likely to be very, very limited.
Thank you, sir. Thank you, ma'am. I'll ask Manojit Saha from Business Standard.
Thank you, sir. What has stopped the MPC from, given that you have reduced the inflation forecast to substantially lower to 3.1%, so what has stopped the MPC from a rate cut? Because you have indicated that you will be forward-looking, you will be proactive in interest rate decisions. So what actually stopped MPC from a rate cut? And also, if you can throw some light on whether the monetary policy is effective on pushing loan growth, because loan growth continues to be tepid despite a 100 basis point rate cut.
See, the reasons for maintaining the policy rate are very, very clearly stated in our resolution, which also found a mention in my statement. Let me reiterate those. One, monetary, we did first of all, a front-loaded rate cut, 100 basis points over a short period of 4 months, February to June. Transmission is still happening. Uncertainties still continue. The situation is still evolving. Insofar as inflation is concerned, the projections are more or less, if you discount food, which is very volatile. I think I mentioned it somewhere earlier also that while our headline and food inflation over the last 8-9 years since FIT was introduced has been at 4.9%, the volatility in food prices is of the region of 3% on an average. The deviation, the absolute deviation is 3%, 5.9 plus minus 3% is the average. Whereas that in core is much less, about 1.1% in absolute terms. So the changes that have happened are primarily because of food and not core inflation. Core inflation, in fact, has only gone up slightly from the previous months. So these are the reasons that we have continued to maintain the policy rate. We will keep watching incoming data and evolving outlook of our macroeconomic conditions, and the MPC will accordingly take a view on a policy meeting to meeting, from meeting to meeting. Insofar as the impact of rates is concerned, I have given figures in the statement. It's about 71 basis points on the credit side. On the credit side, bank credit rates till June, within a period of 4 months. 71 basis points, of which about 55 basis points is because of the change in the rate and not because of the change in the mix of the credit loans. So that has happened, and obviously that will certainly help not only growth in credit, but also it will impact the real economy. As you are all aware, it happens with a lag. This time, while the rates have of course come down significantly faster, the impact on the real economy will also start to happen. So there is no reason to believe that this will not have a growth inducing impact.
Thank you, sir. Next, we'll have Mr. Mayur Shetty from Times of India.
Thank you, sir. You explained the credit, the slowdown in credit demand. You said that there is some shift to other financial instruments, but the sectoral figures show that even housing, which typically goes up when rates go down, has slowed down. What do you think is the reason for this?
I think it's important to, first of all, whenever one is looking, it's important to look at data in data at a regular basis, at a micro basis, at a month-to-month, quarter-to-quarter basis. But to extract signals out of that, I think we should be hesitant in extracting signals out of that data. So it is the long-term data that is more relevant to be making any to get any insights out of it. And on the other hand, I would also like to point out, so these fluctuations will be there. There will be noise, as you are aware, there will be noise. So we have to remove that noise. How do you remove that noise? It becomes very difficult if you are actually looking at data on a month-to-month, day-to-day basis. Having said that, housing credit, I think overall it's doing well. It's doing very well. It may have moderated somewhat, but these are to be expected. There will be some ups and downs. I think overall housing credit is 14% as we speak, which is very good, which is more than our average credit growth rate of about 10% that we are having this year. And some of the impact, as I mentioned, happens with a lag. We have reduced the rate, so while the reduction in the rates has happened, it translating into credit growth rate, people take their time to. It's a long-term investment. Housing is not a short-term investment. If you go to the market, you buy a consumer durable. It's not like that. It's a long-term investment. So that also has an impact to play over here.
Thank you, sir. अब मैं जी बिजनेस से एकता सूरी को आग्रह करता हूँ कि अपना प्रश्न पूछें.
गुड आफ्टरनून सर. सबसे पहले बधाई सर, प्रधानमंत्री मोदी ने, पीएम मोदी ने आरबीआई को धन्यवाद किया है कि आपने ग्राम पंचायतों में फाइनेंशियल इंक्लूजन के लिए कैंप लगाए हैं सर, उसके लिए कंग्रेचुलेशन. सर मेरा सवाल ये होने वाला है कि इस बार अगर हम बैंक्स के रिजल्ट्स देखें तो इसमें हमें एनपीए बढ़ता हुआ दिख रहा है, और अगर हम एमएफआई सेगमेंट की बात करें तो वो पिछली बार भी आपने कंसर्न रेज किया था कि उसमें एनपीए बढ़ रहे हैं. उसको लेकर क्या हम किसी तरह की रूल्स नियम सख्त होते हुए देख सकते हैं, खास करके तब जब जो एनबीएफसीज हैं प्रायोरिटी सेक्टर में ये पैसा उठाती हैं, लेकिन मनी लेंडर के जैसे रेट्स बढ़ चुके हैं इनके, तो उसको कर्ब करने के लिए क्या हम रूल सख्त होते हुए देख सकते हैं? और दूसरा ये सर कि अगर म्यूल हंटर की बात करें तो बहुत से बैंक्स ने इम्प्लीमेंट कर दिया है, तो अब आम लोगों का पैसा कितना जल्दी वापस आ सकता है, फ्रॉड से गया हुआ पैसा, और कितना सुरक्षित है अब पैसा उनका?
आपने एक तो कई सारे प्रश्न एक साथ पूछ लिए हैं। तो सबसे पहले आपको जो है धन्यवाद, आपने जो बधाई दी है फाइनेंशियल इंक्लूजन के लिए, वो हमारे लिए बहुत सबसे ज़्यादा अहम है, महत्वपूर्ण है, और इसका जिक्र हमने अपने मॉनेटरी पॉलिसी स्टेटमेंट में भी किया है। तो हम चाहेंगे आप सबके माध्यम से कि ये जो हमारा प्रयास है, उस प्रयास को आप सभी अपने श्रोताओं और अपने व्यूअर्स तक आप पहुंचाएं, और इसको आप पब्लिसाइज करें ताकि लोग जो है इसका अधिक से अधिक लाभ उठा सकें। जो आपने बात कही कि कुछ एनपीए बढ़े हैं, मेरी ऐसी जानकारी नहीं है। कुल मिलाकर के, जैसा कि मैंने अपने वक्तव्य में आज जो हमारा मॉनेटरी पॉलिसी का वक्तव्य था उसमें भी मैंने निवेदन किया कि कुल मिलाकर जो हमारे नेट एनपीए हैं, जो हमारे ग्रॉस एनपीए हैं, पूरे बैंकिंग क्षेत्र को जब हम देखते हैं 2.2% ग्रॉस, 0.5 से लेकर के 0.6% तक नेट एनपीए है, तो वो काफ़ी संतोषजनक है और उसमें वृद्धि नहीं हुई है। यह संभव है कि कुछ एक क्षेत्रों में, जैसा कि आपने बताया एमएफआई में, अनसिक्योर्ड लोन्स में, वहाँ पे निश्चित रूप से कुछ एनपीए बीच में बढ़े थे, जिसकी वजह से हमने क्रेडिट जो वेट्स हैं उनके ऊपर में बढ़ाए थे। और उसके बाद में हमने ये भी देखा कि जो एक बहुत अधिक दर से वृद्धि हो रही थी क्रेडिट की, ऋणों की इन क्षेत्रों में, एमएफआई और अनसिक्योर्ड पर्सनल लोन्स में, उसमें उसके बाद में कमी भी आई है। तो कुल मिलाकर के लेकिन इसमें कोई चिंता की हमारे लिए कोई विषय नहीं है, और हमारा ये बिल्कुल हर समय ये प्रयास रहता है कि स्पेशली जो, जैसा हमने कहा, बॉटम ऑफ पिरामिड माइक्रो फाइनेंस जो लोग ले रहे हैं, छोटे छोटे 10,000, 20,000, 50,000 रुपये तक के जो लोन ले रहे हैं, और वो हमारे पूरे जो हमारा पूरे जो स्टेक होल्डर्स हैं उसमें एक बहुत अहम और महत्वपूर्ण अंग है। लगभग 8 करोड़ लोग एमएफआईज, हालांकि अमाउंट संख्या में केवल 3,75,000 करोड़, लगभग 4 लाख करोड़ रुपए के करीब ऋण हमने उनको दिया है। कुल मिलाकर 180 लाख करोड़ में से, वो प्रतिशत में 2% ही लगता है, लेकिन लगभग 8 करोड़ लोग हैं, जो कि हमारे जो टोटल लोन अकाउंट्स हैं, या लोन अकाउंट्स 8 करोड़ हैं, व्यक्ति हो सकता है कम हो, क्योंकि एक व्यक्ति कई बार जो है 2-2 लोन भी ले लेता है। तो ये हमारे लिए एक बहुत महत्वपूर्ण और बहुत इम्पॉर्टेंट श्रेणी है, और इसके लिए जो भी हमारे को करना है ताकि और इनका फाइनेंशियल इंक्लूजन हो, जैसे कैंप्स भी हम लगा रहे हैं, वो उसके ऊपर में हम कार्य करते रहेंगे। तीसरा आपका प्रश्न है म्यूल हंटर। म्यूल हंटर से निश्चित रूप से सबसे पहले मैं ये कहना चाहूँगा कि पिछले वर्ष जो हमने देखा, जो फाइनेंशियल फ्रॉड्स हुए हैं, वो अगर आप कुल अमाउंट में देखते हैं तो उसमें लगभग जितने हमारे वर्ष 23-24 में हुए थे उतने ही हुए हैं, कोई अधिक बहुत ज़्यादा वृद्धि नहीं हुई है। तो जब आप प्रति ट्रांजैक्शन अगर उसको देखेंगे तो उसमें कमी आई है, तो ये एक हमारे लिए संतोष का विषय है। दूसरा, म्यूल हंटर का हमारा जो कार्यक्रम है वो काफ़ी आगे बढ़ रहा है। 15 बैंक्स इसके अंदर हमारे लिए सम्मिलित हो गए हैं, और निश्चित रूप से इससे भी इस दिशा में हमारे को लाभ मिलेगा।
बहुत धन्यवाद सर। नाउ विल आस्क विश्वनाथ नायर फ्रॉम एनडीटीवी प्रॉफिट टू आस्क हिज क्वेश्चन।
Thank you, very sir. Governor, the conversation or the uncertainty, so-called uncertainty after the tariff policy measures that have been announced from the US, they're still continuing. The president there consistently makes statements about specific tariffs to India. A lot of economists have pointed out that monetary policy may not be the appropriate tool to support Indian businesses in such a scenario. Is there anything that the RBI can do or is prepared to do on top of, say, cutting rates?
On top of what are you see, we have taken a number of measures to support growth. It's not only on the monetary policy, liquidity side, even on the prudential regulation side, we have taken measures. Even on the FEMA side, I think we have taken, we have a draft now which will be put up, so as to ease doing businesses, to ease doing international trade, and we will continue to do whatever is required to be done in such a scenario. Of course, trade negotiations are still continuing. We are hopeful that we will have an amicable solution.
Thank you, sir. Next, we have Hamsini from Money Control.
Hi. Governor, when we speak to banks, one of the largest fears that they have is with respect to growth. And they're also seeing a large part of their deposits moving out into equity and equity-related products, or rather, corporatization of deposits, as bankers call it, is a trend that they're increasingly seeing. In this context, how much room do you further envisage for transmission of rates? Because we've already seen a healthy transmission as far as lending is concerned. Numbers are in the ballpark of 71 on the lending side, and on deposits it's 87. We've had 100 bips cut from February. Do you see further room for rates happening for banks? Considering that their balance sheets will also remain healthy, should they transmit more money, or should we look out for a longer pause in rate actions, sir? Which of the two is more likely to play out?
No, see, that is for the monitor. I think I answered your question earlier. We will continue to look at the incoming data, and the Monetary Policy Committee meets every 2 months. We will consider all possible scenarios, and basis that we will take a decision. It will not be right on my part to preempt. Not only preempt, I mean, I really do not have, as of now, any answers. We will see whatever was to be done today has been done. So let's wait for another 2 months and see how the economy actually shapes up, how the monetary policy transmission is actually happening, how the real economy is responding to all these things, and then we will again, take up. As we have mentioned, we will not be found wanting in whatever is required to provide the right balance of price stability and economic growth for the development of our country.
Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Now I'll ask Mr. Ashish Agashe from PTI.
Thank you so much, sir. Sir, with your statement today, and especially by making the point that food inflation is very volatile, are you probably, and your projections also, so are you sort of probably preparing for a longer pause on the rates front from here on, sir?
Same question asked, in a different way, so I don't have anything more to add. Sorry.
Thank you, sir. Next, we'll have Mr. Anup Roy from Bloomberg.
Sir, if India has to stop buying Russian oil or has to revert back to that 1% of the total oil purchase that we had with Russia, what could be the impact on inflation? Has the RBI done any study, or do you have any assessment on that, preliminary assessment?
See, how the inflation will pan out, I think some of it the DG also mentioned. Of course, crude is an important element in determining our inflation, but at the same time, let's keep, two things in mind. It's not only Russian oil. Oil earlier, and it's not only Russian oil that we are taking oil from many other countries. The mix, if the mix changes, what is its impact on prices? What is the global commodity prices of crude? It will depend on all that. And the other thing it will depend on is how much of its impact, downwards or upwards, is actually, taken by the government in the form of excise duties and other tariffs. So we don't see any major impact as of now because of this on inflation, because I think the government over there will take an appropriate decision on the fiscal side in case there is any shock over there.
Thank you, sir. Anurag Shah from ET Now, Swadesh.
नमस्ते सर। सर, जिस तरह से आपने आज अपनी पॉलिसी में 3 कंज्यूमर सेंट्रिक ऐलान किए और उन 3 कंज्यूमर सेंट्रिक ऐलान के अंदर से जो करोड़ों जनधन खाते हैं उनकी केवाईसी की जाएगी और उनको इंश्योरेंस के प्रोडक्ट और पेंशन के प्रोडक्ट भी ऑफर किए जाएंगे, तो सर इसमें मैं आपसे समझना चाहता था, क्या जो एक म्यूल अकाउंट है एक बहुत बड़ी समस्या बन गई, जिसपे पर ट्रांजैक्शन में तो आपने बताया कमी आई है, लेकिन अभी एक और यूपी पुलिस के द्वारा एक बहुत बड़ा मामला पर्दाफाश किया गया है, पिछले महीने भी किया गया था बहुत बड़े पैमाने पे, कि जो अकाउंट्स है कई सारी बड़ी बैंकें भी है जो मृत लोग कुछ महीने पहले डेथ हो चुकी है, लेकिन बड़ी बैंकों के द्वारा भी उनके केवाईसी किए जा रहे हैं, उनकी अकाउंट ओपन किए जा रहे हैं, ट्रांजेक्शन हो रहे हैं और ये बड़े पैमाने पे चल रहा है। तो उसको देखते हुए भी सर ये केवाईसी जो है बड़े पैमाने पे की जाएगी। और सर एक आपने उसी संदर्भ में जो कहा कि नीड एनालिसिस बहुत ज़रूरी है बैंकों के जरिए जो प्रोडक्ट बेचे जाते हैं, तो सर नीड एनालिसिस को लेकर क्या कोई फ्रेमवर्क लाया जाएगा और किस तरह से नीड एनालिसिस होगा?
आपने निश्चित रूप से बहुत महत्वपूर्ण अहम सवाल आपने उठाए हैं और इसके लिए हर समय जो रिजर्व बैंक है, बैंक्स है, वो जागरूक हो रहे हैं। चाहे वो म्यूल अकाउंट के बारे में आपने कहा, रिकेवाईसी के बारे में आपने कहा और आपने मिस सेलिंग के बारे में आपने कहा, तो इसके लिए कई सारे कदम हमने उठाए हैं। म्यूल अकाउंट का एक प्रोजेक्ट हम ऑलरेडी चला रहे हैं, वो शीघ्र ही हम उसको लागू करेंगे, उससे इसमें मदद मिलेगी जैसा कि मैंने पूर्व में बताया। और मिस सेलिंग के लिए भी हम समय समय के ऊपर में हमने अपने बैंक्स को, रेगुलेटेड एंटिटीज़ को सावधान किया है। मेरा और इसमें और निश्चित रूप से इसमें सुधार की गुंजाइश है। मैं ये नहीं कहूँगा कि सुधार की गुंजाइश नहीं है, लेकिन काफ़ी सुधार पहले से इसके ऊपर में हुआ है और हम और आगे भी इसमें और अधिक कदम लेकर के इसमें और सुधार करने का प्रयास करेंगे।
सर क्रेडिट लिंक इंश्योरेंस से अगर दुनिया भर में हम देखें तो रेगुलेटर रहे, वहाँ पे क्रेडिट लिंक इंश्योरेंस कहीं पर भी नहीं है, केवल भारत के अंदर ही क्रेडिट लिंक इंश्योरेंस को ज़्यादा प्रोत्साहन दिया जाता है।
नहीं, मेरे हिसाब से ऐसा नहीं है कि केवल भारत में ही। आप शायद ये कह रहे हैं कि बैंक एश्योरेंस, आपका शायद कहना कि ये बैंक एश्योरेंस, बैंक्स इंश्योरेंस प्रोडक्ट्स भी बेचें केवल भारत में है, ये ऐसा सही नहीं है। कई अन्य देश हैं जहाँ पे बैंक्स इंश्योरेंस प्रोडक्ट्स बेच रहे हैं, अन्य प्रोडक्ट्स भी बेच रहे हैं। और इसमें देखिए, इसमें लाभ ये है कि एक नेटवर्क जो हमने ऑलरेडी पूर्व में बनाया हुआ है, यदि वही नेटवर्क के थ्रू एक से ज़्यादा प्रोडक्ट्स यदि बेचे जाते हैं तो जो कॉस्ट्स हैं, इकोनॉमीज ऑफ स्केल आती हैं, कॉस्ट जो हैं वो कम होती हैं और जो फाइनेंशियल इंक्लूजन है उसको मदद मिलती है, स्पेशली जो ग्रामीण इलाके हैं वहाँ पे। तो उसी को ध्यान में रखते हुए हमने ये यहाँ पे अलाउ किया और ऐसे बहुत सारे अन्य देश हैं जहाँ पे इसको अलाउ, जिसमें जहाँ पे ये चालू है, जहाँ पे ये अलाउड है। हमारा प्रयास यही रहना चाहिए कि मिस सेलिंग न हो, नीड एनालिसिस हो जैसा कि आपने कहा, और इसका सही प्रयोग सही लोगों को ये प्रोडक्ट्स बेचे जाएं। तो हमारा ध्यान उस तरफ रहना चाहिए, न ये कि हम इसको टोटली बैन कर दें या बंद कर दें।
Thank you, sir. Next will be Sangeeta Mehta from Economic Times.
Thank you, sir. Sir, you've spoken about transmission on the deposit side, almost 87 basis point, and it's still unfolding. What I wanted to understand from you is that deposits in financial savings has also is likely to fall if interest rates come down. Share of deposits. So in that sense, do you, there is also the perception that people would move to a riskier assets, savings would move to high yielding assets like mutual. So are you seeing this affecting, impacting banks' deposit growth and also banks' ability to fund corporates?
So let me take your second question first. The ability of the banks to fund corporates, I don't think that is getting in any way impeded because of this. The banks have sufficient funds in order to meet the needs of the economy, be it corporates, be it households, be it the government sector. So that is certainly not impeded. Yes, to your first question as to whether there is a shift, there is certainly a shift from banking to equity, from debt to equity. I think that is, on the whole, it's a healthy trend for any economy. As it grows, there should be a good mix, and I think we are moving towards that. We should not be unduly concerned about that.
Thank you, sir. Next, I'll have Aryan from Informist Media.
Sir, thank you so much for the question. First, just a clarification, do the FY27 CPI estimates take into account any changes in the weightage of the CPI basket, which is expected in February next year?
No.
Okay. So then coming to the question, inflation projections seem to show that the current food inflation trajectory will not last, in the sense that core inflation will overpower it in the coming quarters. Can the continued good monsoon and supply side measures not keep CPI nearer the target of around 4% in the next year as well?
See, we have given our projections, but when we give this projection, there are risks, on both sides.
Okay.
So can it not be downwards? Of course, it can be downwards, it can be upwards. And that's the short answer to your question. These are projections, these are very difficult things to do. We had projected earlier, and not only we, some of the professional forecasters too, you are aware, we had all projected a 3.7, we had projected 3.7, they had in fact projected a 3.8% average growth rate, inflation rate for this year, and we have all been surprised this time. So these are projections, these are difficult things to do. I would certainly not venture to say that it cannot be lower than this.
So just to follow up on this, would you then give greater primacy to core CPI going ahead, considering the minutes of the last meeting also mentioned it, and you have also mentioned it in your statement?
Both are important. Core as well as headline, both are important. What weightage is to be given at what point of time, and the outlook, again, that is something which the MPC looks at it from meeting to meeting. And I did say, and we are on record to say this, that there is higher volatility in food prices, they can be transient, and so you have to see these things and sometimes, look through if we feel that some of the inflation is because of transient reasons.
Thank you, sir. Next, I'll have Swati Bhatt from Reuters.
Thank you, sir. So just sticking to the trade talks, it seems like on the face of it, the diplomatic relations between India and the US have also soured to some extent. You would be more privy to what's happening there. But so just wanted to understand, would it impact the foreign portfolio inflows and foreign investments into India because of the way things stand? And subsequently, what would the impact on the rupee be? Are you concerned and looking at it internally at RBI? Thank you.
See, foreign flows, inflows, outflows depend on so many things, both, current account and capital account, very early actually to say. But as I mentioned earlier, we are quite confident that our reserves are, we are having 11 months of merchandise imports reserves. And so we are very confident of meeting whatever needs are there from the external sector.
Thank you, sir. Next, we'll have Mr. Ankur from ET now.
Thank you, Punitji, for giving a chance. Good afternoon, Governor. You have kept intact the projections for FY26 at 6.5% as far as GDP is concerned. In your statement, point number 10, you have mentioned that growth remains robust, in line with your projections, but below your aspirations. What is the aspiration you would want to have first? And another thing, last time when we had interactions, you did give assurance on one particular banking name, and whereby now the MD and CEO is also appointed. I want to understand from you, now any kind of remedial action is still remaining from the bank side, because on SEBI front, yes, final order is still remaining, but is RBI also looking into it and the responses which has been given or the action which has been taken by the bank is sufficient?
See, we don't take specific entity-related, bank-related questions, so I will avoid that. But your first question related to what is the aspirational growth rate, it is certainly more than 6.5%. And in the past we have done, I think, 7.8% on an average. We have done that. So certainly, we should aspire for higher growth rates than 6.5%.
Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Next, we'll have Laltendu Mishra from The Hindu. From that side, sir.
Good afternoon, Governor. US President Donald Trump has said that Indian economy is dead. What is your reaction to that, sir?
No, I am not the right person to react to the president. But yes, I mean, you are all aware we have a very robust growth rate, 6.5%. And in fact, as per IMF, 6.4% and 3% growth rate of the world, when they look at that, we are contributing about 18%, which is more than US, where the contribution is expected to be much less, at about, I think, 11% or something. So we are doing very well, and we will continue to further improve.
Thank you, sir. From the right-hand side here, Mr. Mahesh Nayak from FE.
Good afternoon, sir. Thank you for the opportunity. Just wanted to know, is today India ready to bite the bullet on capital convertibility, full capital convertibility? I would want your view on that, because having a very strong economy, do you think we can forego a temporary pain and look into fully capital convertible?
There is no proposal for any changes as of now.
Thank you, sir. Ms. Gopika from the Mint.
Good afternoon, Governor. This was regarding the currency depreciation we've seen over the last 1 month. Dollar rupee has risen by around 2.8%. Is that limiting RBI's ability to cut rates? And secondly, taking Ankur's question forward, in similar circumstance, we've seen RBI suspending the board, taking over, appointing RBI nominee directors on the boards of such banks where there is a fraud or instances of fraud which have happened. Is RBI planning to take any action against the promoter or the board in this particular case, considering RBI has also allowed the promoter to increase the stake and also appoint 2 nominee directors on the board?
See, we don't take, as I mentioned earlier, we don't take any entity-specific questions, so I will skip that. Rupee depreciation, again, there will be some volatility. We are living in very uncertain times, as you are aware. And so some of the volatility is expected. The volatility is there not only in our currency, but even in currencies of other countries, including the US. The US currency has seen appreciation and then depreciation, both side movement of about 10%. So in that context, our movement is much less. How does it impact our monetary policy. As I said, it is a mix of so many things, but more so, the domestic growth and inflation dynamics.
Thank you, sir. From the same side, Mr. Piyush from Hindu Business Line.
Yeah. Good afternoon, Governor, DGs. Thanks, Puneet. Sir, upper layer NBFCs are supposed to get listed by next month. Tata Sons has filed for a deregistration of their NBFC CIC license. What is the update on that? Will you give them an extension or will you approve their request? One. Second, Ravi Shankar sir, some of the banks have actually started applying charges on UPI to payment aggregators and merchants of some categories. Governor sir had in his earlier public remarks mentioned that UPI can't be free forever. So from a regulatory perspective, do you allow banks to, because this is no MDR, so they are somehow wanting to monetize this particular thing. Any views in this regard? Thank you.
Well, let me come in first, and then I'll pass the floor, to DG Ravi Shankar. You are aware, entity-specific questions we avoid, right? But, saying that I said that it cannot remain free forever, I never said that. I'm sorry. I want to clarify, I never said that it can remain free forever. The question was, I think, to the effect that whether do you see that the MDR, etc., will be charged on consumers. And I said over there that there are costs. What is important, I said, is that there are costs, and these costs have to be paid by someone. Who pays is important, but not so important than someone footing the bill. And so it is important for us, for the sustainability, that whether collectively or individually, someone pays for it. So I never said that it cannot remain free forever. My sense is that it is not free even now. Someone is paying for it. The government is subsidizing it. But somewhere the costs are being paid. The question really is who pays for it. That is the other question. But I never said that the users will have to pay. I think I did mention that the government policy has actually helped in expanding the use of UPI, and I gave some numbers, 31 crore to 61 crore per day UPI transactions over the last 2 months. So I'll leave it at that, and then I'll request DG Ravi Shankar on if you have to add anything over there.
No, nothing else. I think that answers this question. Yeah.
Thank you, sirs. Next, I'll request Mr. Hitesh from Indian Express.
Sir, in the monetary policy report, you have made some assumption with crude oil at USD 70 per barrel and rupee at 86. Is there any need to change it, the current situation?
We just did this modeling. We have just taken these assumptions. As of now, obviously, there is no need to change it. Going forward, what happens? It's evolving. Things evolve. Earlier, we had taken some other numbers. And as data comes in, I'm not saying, that these are sacrosanct and I will stick to these. No, I'll not be so presumptuous to say that. But as of now, yes, these are the best estimates that we have.
Thank you so very much, sir. Lastly, we'll have Ben from New Indian Express. That's it, sir.
Hi, sir. You have mentioned the volatility in the food prices many a time during the conference also. There is some talk about, or there is some call by some economists for taking out the food basket from the retail inflation. What is the RBI's and the NPC's view on that? Is there any talk within NPC or RBI?
Our target is certainly the headline inflation, and the FIT is due for a review. Every 5 years we do it. There is a discussion paper which we are preparing, and which we will open to public consultation. And after that, view will be taken. The final view has to be taken by the government. We'll give our views to the government as to how, we should move ahead in this regard.
Thank you.
Thank you. It will be for the public also, right? Yeah.
Thank you,
It will
sir.
be for the public.
Thank you, sir. With this, we come to the close of this press conference. I thank the top management of Reserve Bank for answering all the questions, and I thank you all for making it very interactive. Have a nice afternoon and good day.
Thank you very much. Namaskar and greetings to all in this month of Raksha Bandhan, Independence Day, Janma.